Hello, everyone. My name is Wais Asmal, and I'm the head of advisory services at Outsource CFO. Today, I want to talk to you about cash flow forecasts. Why do you need a cash flow forecast? Well, you know the old adage: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you want to know how much money is going to be in your bank account in the next 3 months' time, you need a cash flow forecast. How much money do you think you'll need to pay SARS next month, or in 3 months, or in 6 months' time? The only way to solve that is through a cash flow forecast. How big of an overdraft do you need? Do you really need an overdraft, or are you just managing your cash poorly? The only way to figure that out is through a cash flow forecast. If you want to pay yourself a dividend, you need a cash flow forecast to comply with the Companies Act. If you want to pay bonuses, you need to determine whether you have enough cash to do that if you're going to pay it in 3 months' time. So you need a cash flow forecast. If you want to perhaps invest in another business in a few months, will you have enough cash at that time? The only way to figure that out is to have a cash flow forecast. Can your business afford to pay your salary in the medium or long term? Can you buy that asset that will improve your business? That maybe might improve your gross profit percentages or reduce your monthly costs. The only way to figure that out is through a cash flow forecast. And let's talk about how do you create a cash flow forecast. First, you need an income statement budget on a monthly basis as a base. And then you need to start making tweaks to that income statement budget. For example, if you're going to purchase assets that won't be in your income statement budget, so you need to add the purchasing of those assets in your cash flow forecast. Also, if you're going to be paying down debt, that won't be in your income statement budget. You might have the interest portion in your income statement budget, but you won't have the capital portion. So payments of debt, also paying back of shareholders' loans, that won't be in your income statement budget at all, and that needs to be brought in. Then the other tweak that you need to make is you need to link your income to the expected timing of that cash flow. For example, you might issue invoices in June with 30-day terms. That most likely means that your customer is only going to pay you in July. So your cash flow forecast needs to take that into account. That money is only going to flow in July. Similarly, some people have different timings for expenses. They might have 60-day terms on expenses. So expenses that you might be invoiced for in June, you might only pay in August. The cash will only flow in August. So in the cash flow forecast, you need to adjust for this if it's an expense that happens on a monthly basis. Other tweaks that you might need to do is if you are a VAT vendor, in your income statement budget, you wouldn't include any VAT. But for cash flow forecast purposes, you must include VAT because that's the actual cash that will flow. So the actual revenue needs to include VAT, and the expenses that you need to pay also need to include VAT because that's the actual cash that will flow. Then you need to actually make provision for the VAT payments that happen either on every 2 months or monthly basis, depending on what your VAT period is. So you need to make those VAT payments separately as a separate provision in your cash flow forecast. Also, things like making provision for income tax payments every 6 months, that also needs to be in your cash flow forecast. Also, if you've got big shareholders loans, a cash flow forecast is a good way to set up if you want to start paying yourself or repaying those shareholders loans. Use your cash flow forecast to pay yourself. Maybe that means you're only going to pay yourself in 3 months from now as opposed to next month, which you initially thought. Try to update your cash flow forecast at least every 6 months because things change. That'll be my advice for today. Thank you very much.
Hey, Lau here, one of the founders of Outsource CFO. If you enjoyed this video, make it official. Click subscribe.